I and me, the science of understanding yourself. The distinction between I and me sits at the heart of debates about consciousness, personal identity, and subjective experience. Scientific progress has renewed global interest in how individuals experience themselves as both subjects and objects. If you're seeking to understand your own mind or pursue practical self-development, you've got to get a grasp on the difference between these two parts of yourself. So let's begin with discussing the historical roots of I and me. The fundamental difference between me and I can be traced to the groundbreaking work of William James in 1890. William James' analysis identified me as the self, understood as an object of experience, the empirical self whose qualities, roles, and thoughts can be observed and described. In contrast, the I refers to the self as the subject of experience, the perceiver or knower that stands behind all conscious content but cannot itself be observed as one more object. For example, Ludwig Wittgenstein highlighted two uses of the word I. As object, my arm is broken, and as subject, I think it will rain, showing how language reflects deeper conceptual differences. And later, philosophers and cognitive scientists, such as Thomas Metzinger and Dan Zahavi, they further analyzed these facets, introducing distinctions like the phenomenal self, the me encompassing self-related thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, and the metaphysical self, the I responsible for the subjective character of all experience. So this conceptual split has real-world implications. Research on the phenomena such as body ownership, thought ownership, and self-recognition reveals that people often distinguish, either implicitly or explicitly, between experiences that belong to the me, self-concept, body image, personal narrative, and the presence of a subjective point of view that is never an object among objects. This framework aids not only philosophical clarity, but also enables new forms of personal reflection. I'd like to share with you a useful exercise to try later if you can't pause the video now. So to recall a recent moment, a heated debate with a partner, some have more than others, a work presentation, a quiet walk, then noting personally which thoughts, actions, or memories feel like expressions of me and which carry the more elusive I, the author or observer behind every experience. So this exercise reveals how universal and consequential this self-split is for personal insight, for empathy, and for meaningful communication. Within cognitive science and neuroscience, the me is typically defined as the totality of self-related conscious content. This encompasses everything you experience as your own: physical sensations, proprioception, interoceptive states like hunger or pain, emotions, memories, values, goals, and reflexive thoughts about identity or social status. Interoception is the sense of what's happening inside your body, as opposed to an external sense like hearing or sound. So William James' original tripartite model of the self, material, social, and spiritual aspects, has evolved in light of neuroscientific research, which now closely examines how the brain constructs and maintains representations of the self. And recent neuroscience offers vivid findings. For instance, MRI studies show that when people view photos of their own face, distinct networks in the medial prefrontal cortex light up more strongly than when these same individuals view images of friends or celebrities. By the way, did you catch this? This is really interesting. I don't know if you've looked at images of yourself, a photo of yourself. I think it's a great thing to try. Pull up a photo of yourself where you're looking at you, right? But the photo, you're looking at the camera. Pull up that photo of yourself and just stare at it for a few minutes. It's really a remarkable experience. So the MRI studies, they lit up when you are viewing photos of your own face. And the distinct networks in your brain light up on these MRI scans. The I is not an object with an experience. It is that which has experiences at all. This metaphysical self cannot be located, described, or objectified. Instead, it marks the point of view from which all conscious content appears. So this subjectivity is what makes experience first person, what Thomas Nagel called the irreducible what it's like, quality that eludes explanation. Philosophers have long debated the existence, the persistence, and the nature of this subject, positing a soul distinct from the body and brain, to deflationary accounts such as Metzinger's, which argue that the self as subject is a conceptual illusion outside the realm of scientific investigation. So current scientific theories, including advanced models like the Integrated Information Theory, IIT, attempts to specify the physical correlates of conscious experience, and it offers insights into the conditions required for subjectivity to emerge. For instance, IIT predicts that multiple conscious agents, get this, could exist within one brain if information is organized into distinct integrated complexes. So deep subjective awareness also plays a vital role in personal and cultural development. The capacity to experience yourself as a subject is foundational for agency, autonomy, and moral responsibility. It shapes how we take perspectives, make choices, and enter into relationships of empathy or accountability. I mean, not everybody. Most people have empathy. I'd like to think that. Empathy and accountability, although I've known a few that don't. In any case, in spiritual practice, contemplative inquiry often seeks to approach, question, or rest in this dimension of the self. So whether you pursue meditative stillness or analytic philosophy, the inquiry into the I points to an aspect of human life that cannot be exhaustively explained by observable patterns or representations. The phenomenal self, I know I've mentioned this word a few times, phenomenal. It consists of experiences, representations, and behaviors, is amenable to empirical methods like observation, experimentation, neuroimaging, modeling, and measurement. So contrast that with the metaphysical self, the I as the subject of experience. It requires primarily philosophical tools like conceptual analysis, logical argument, and phenomenological description. I want to describe the term phenomenological a little bit more for you. So it refers to a specific philosophical method and perspective, phenomenology. I think it's useful to learn. You'll leave this talk with a lot more than just a discussion of the self, but knowledge of phenomenology. In philosophy, phenomenology is the study and description of the structures of experience and consciousness as they're directly and subjectively lived from the first person point of view. So when I mention phenomenological description, it's a method that attempts to describe the structure of lived first person experience. Advances in predictive coding and similar theories, representational theories, influence new philosophical proposals about how and whether a subject arises from material processes. If you remember, I've already made 3 videos, all recent, involving predictive coding and the brain as a prediction machine. After this, you might want to take a look. I think they're pretty good. You know how the immense popularity of these mindfulness apps, self-improvement courses, personality testing. I have a video on that too. They don't work that well, by the way. It reflects there's this global hunger for effective tools to navigate the self. So consider how people respond to setbacks like rejection, failure, or burnout. Research from the University of Pennsylvania's Resilience Program demonstrates that those who learn to step back, viewing me experiences as passing phenomena rather than absolute identity, they experience less rumination, greater emotional regulation, and improved ability to bounce back. Remember, it's creating a little bit of distance from your life, from the me, from what's happening to you, from your problems or challenges and experiences, or your thoughts or intrusive thoughts, whatever it is, creating a little bit of distance and just observing it rather than always getting stuck in it and getting pulled into the experience or the life. So in therapy, cognitive and acceptance-based approaches invite clients to watch their thoughts and feelings with distance, much like a scientist observes data, allowing the I to freely notice the me rather than becoming entangled with it. This is so important. And recognizing that the me, encompassing thoughts, emotions, your sensations, your social roles, it's shaped by patterns of prediction and self-modeling, and it suggests that personal narratives and even deeply held beliefs can change over time. It can change over time. That's the good thing. The me, not the I. So this insight forms the foundation for various therapy approaches, like including CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. I've spoken about that in one of my earlier videos. Mindfulness, acceptance, and commitment techniques, which empower individuals to step back from automatic self-identification with fleeting thoughts or distressing emotions. Unbelievable. I have a video about that too. It's about intrusive thoughts, and it couldn't be more than a week or two out. Whatever interests you, whatever you fancy, I probably have a video about it. All right, so by reframing sensations or ruminations as experiences passing through your consciousness, rather than as definitive aspects of your identity, you can gain a greater sense of freedom and flexibility. So this conscious detachment reduces anxiety, enhances your self-acceptance, and bolsters your resilience in the face of stress, loss, or social pressures. For example, goal setting, deliberate habit formation, reflection, journaling, help reinforce the experience of being an active participant in your life. So these strategies draw on the understanding that the me is constructed by hierarchical predictions, while the capacity for awareness and evaluation, this is what we call the I, it resides in your ability to recognize and modify those predictions. So on the whole, integrating these insights into your daily routines enables you to adaptively negotiate the complexity of your modern life by questioning self-attributions, updating beliefs in response to new information, and training attention to observe rather than react to your internal experiences. You can more empower yourself with these self-models. So I really strongly recommend you take a pause and reflect moment, either now or later. Take 15 seconds to consider how much of your current frustration or motivation centers on stories about the me, about your me. What might happen if you adopted the different stance, the observer stance of the I, simply noticing without reacting or identifying? Practicing the ability to step between observation and participation, observing you in life and participating in your life. Okay, so through this talk today, you and I have converged on this point. Self-knowledge is a skill. When you recognize the flexible structure of the me and appreciate the anchoring presence of the I, you acquire the resources for shaping the course of your lives with greater intention and empathy. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel, Henry's Millions.